Currently serves as Senior Assistant Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at EXL, Mr. Deepak Jain.
True leadership shifts the focus from individual expertise to relationship building and collaborative value creation.
It really shows that leadership is more than technical skill. It's about, as you said, aligning people and processes.
Especially where cybersecurity, regulatory pressure, and scaling complexities are involved, alignment is less about enthusiasm and more about structural congruence and governance.
Hello and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host Charu Mehra, and today's episode promises to offer invaluable insights for leaders navigating the ever-evolving world of strategic partnerships and business development. Our distinguished guest today is Mr. Deepak Jain, a seasoned expert in strategic partnerships and business development with over 20 years of experience in driving growth through high value collaborations. Mr. Jain currently serves as Senior Assistant Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at EXL, where he spearheads initiatives to align business goals with innovative partnership, thereby fostering significant business growth. Throughout his career, Mr. Jain has honed his expertise across various industries, including IT services, digital transformation, customer experience technology, and AI solutions. Whether it's scaling partnerships, managing cross functional teams, or leveraging technology to unlock new business opportunities, Mr. Jain has consistently demonstrated a proven track record of creating tangible value. Mr. Jain, it is a true honor to have you with us on FaceTime with Leaders today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Charu, for having me here. I am delighted and look forward to an engaging conversation.
Fantastic. Your journey clearly demonstrates a deep understanding of how strategic partnerships can drive meaningful business outcomes. So let's dive right into today's conversation. Mr. Jain, with over 2 decades of experience in strategic partnerships, you've worked across industries ranging from BFSI to digital transformation and AI solutions. Throughout your career, I'm sure there might have been key moments that shaped your leadership perspective. So I'd like to know, when you reflect on your early career, was there a moment when you realized that leadership isn't solely about individual expertise, but more about cultivating strong relationships and driving value through collaborations? What surprised you about leadership back then?
So, Charu, they say it's lonely up there, but true leadership shifts the focus from individual expertise to relationship building and collaborative value creation. It emerges through cross-functional teamwork, strategic partnership, and collective problem solving. I vividly remember early in my career, I led a high-pressure client engagement. On paper, everything was right, yet something wasn't working. Stakeholders were not aligned, priorities kept shifting, and decision making slowed under pressure.
Mhm.
That was my realization moment that expertise alone doesn't guarantee success. Friction is not a personality clash, rather, it's a governance gap. That experience marked my transition from doing to leading responsibly, where governance, stakeholder alignment, and clarity of ownership became just as critical as delivery. I moved from thinking that leadership was about delivering tasks to understanding that it's about leading responsibly by creating structure, ensuring transparency, and aligning people before accelerating any execution. That experience reshaped how I lead my cross-functional teams today. Precisely, I don't assume alignment, I engineer it.
Mhm.
And I don't avoid escalation now. I try to structure it. And last but not the least, I do not treat risk as a threat. I treat it as something that need to be surfaced early and owned collectively.
Wow.
That was the moment I stopped trying to prove I was capable and started leading, learning how to lead. I would like to conclude this with uh, leadership transcend task execution. It is the intentional design of an ecosystem to cultivate emotional intelligent driven environment by aligning people, processes, and governance for transforming individual efforts into long-term scalable and sustainable impact.
Wow, that was beautifully said, sir. It was such a relatable insight. It really shows that leadership is more than technical skill. It's about, as you said, aligning people and processes. And I love how you connected your early struggles to creating a structured, accountable team structure. That's governance lesson for any boardroom. So thank you for sharing that with us. Mr. Jain, you're known for leading strategic partnerships at EXL and have worked with some of the most prominent players in the industries such as BFSI, IT services, and AI solutions. Your role involves understanding and nurturing partnerships that can drive business growth. So, when you step into a new partnership, especially in the dynamic environments at EXL, what is the first thing you look for to determine whether an organization is genuinely aligned with your goals or simply paying lip service to collaboration?
So, Charu, this is a powerful question, especially relevant in fast scaling, partnership heavy ecosystem and environments.
Okay.
In fast moving ecosystems, especially where cybersecurity, regulatory pressure, and scaling complexities are involved, alignment is less about enthusiasm and more about structural congruence
Mhm.
and governance. Over time, I have learned that alignment isn't what is said; it isn't what is shows up immediately. Where true collaboration feels like walking the same path, while lip service is just reading the same map, but heading in the opposite directions.
Right.
Uh, I recall early in my career, I partnered with an organization that spoke very fluently about collaboration, but struggled when execution began. What saved us is evaluating the partnership through a governance lens. So, from the very first interaction, I look for clarity, goals, ownership, and governance. Who is accountable? How decisions are made? Where does the risk sits? So to move beyond the lip service of shared language and separate agendas, I now assess partnership alignment across three dimensions. Governance readiness is very critical because it establishes your clear mandates, assign decision ownerships, and ensure rigorous alignment of risk and compliance.
Right.
Second is your cultural and strategic fit because it defines your shared value. It creates agreement on the KPIs and develop culture of openness to feedback.
Mhm.
Last but not the least, a culture of collaborative mindset is very essential to build resilient communication channels, clarifying escalation protocols or metrics, and
Right.
ensuring teams are governance ready
Mhm.
to share responsibility. I would like to close this with a small thing. Promises are not metric. Governance, action, and accountability are. Leading with emotional intelligence is not optional. It must be embedded into our core competencies to transform, shared language into shared results.
Wow, that was a really insightful perspective here, Mr. Jain. It's clear that leadership and partnerships goes beyond promises. It's about measurable alignment and governance. So thank you for sharing your views with us on this. Mr. Jain, you've managed to manage partnerships across various domains, including digital transformation and AI integration. What would you say is the most significant challenge when managing partnerships between traditional businesses and tech-driven organizations?
So, Charu, I think you have hit on a very critical point. that is very much at the forefront of current evolutionary landscape. The real friction is not in the software, it is in the operational tempo. So basically, it's a tension between protecting the core and innovating the new. For partnership to thrive, the legacy business must learn to build and tech partner must learn to protect. So tech businesses and tech-driven organizations do not just move at a different speed, but they think differently also about uncertainty, failures, and value creation. So traditional organizations are basically built for stability, predictability, and control. Decisions are very deliberate, governance is multi-layered, and risk avoidance is embedded into the culture, basically. On the other side, tech-driven organizations are optimized for speed, experimentation, iterations. So they move fast, they test quickly, and they are comfortable adjusting their course midstream. Your every question is taking me back in time. A key learning came from an engagement where different governance frameworks, compliance expectations were not reconciled at the outset.
Right.
This misalignment created a huge vacuum of accountability, which ultimately hindered our ability to hit KPIs and secure timely approvals. We achieved recovery, by driving structural reconciliation, actually. So once we formalized roles and made governance expectation very explicit through structural decision matrix and defined escalation points, the path to execution became clear and operational velocity returned.
Wow.
So over time, I have codified a consistent approach to bridge these structural gaps and ensure cross-functional alignment. First thing I start with is aligning cross-organizational governance structures, basically. Creating a definite metrics of who decides, what is decided, and when to ensure seamless execution. Then I try to institutionalize reciprocal accountability. So what do I mean by that? So by calibrating our KPIs to a single source of truth, we create a balanced ecosystem where velocity and stability are measured with equal priority through a unified lens. Finally, I bridge cultural gap through informational symmetry by utilizing shared dashboard and common risk frameworks. I ensure our teams move past the lip service and move into a state of true and transparent collaboration.
Wonderful. It's like, you highlighted the friction points and then sort of turned them to a structured governance solution. And it's sort of kind of an insight every business leader can relate to here. And also, I feel that your perspective shows how leadership is as much about bridging mindsets as it is about driving technology. So, thank you for sharing that practical view on this. Experience, Mr. Jain, what do you believe is the most significant barrier to successful long-term partnerships, particularly in industries like BFSI and IT services? How can leaders work to overcome this challenge?
Taro, this is a great question. You have touched on a core broad level priority, particularly in BFSI and IT services sector, where partnerships are defined by extended life cycle and very rigorous regulatory oversight and a very high premium on a trust. So in BFSI and IT services sector, partnership often launch with a high level of enthusiasm, only to decay into transactional inertia. So the primary catalyst for this drift is a slow erosion of trust, rooted in misaligned incentives and expectations. So while contracts provide the floor for performance, only shared risk and radical transparency alongside active executive sponsorship create the ceiling for long-term trust. So this is an experiential reality for me, not just an observation. In one particular partnership, we saw momentum stalled as delivery goals collided with compliance mandate.
Okay.
the aha moment was very uncomfortable precisely. So we were, trying to pursue the same future with conflicting blueprints. So that is two incompatible versions of the same future. So one side was geared for speed and the another side for stability and security. Uh, the vision was aligned, but the operating models were in conflict. So this taught me that even the best intentions cannot survive a governance gap.
Right.
Persistence or pressure wasn't the solution, governance was. So we pivoted from friction to flow by re-engineering our alignments.
Wow.
Around reciprocal KPIs and joint risk visibility tools. Once we established clear path for escalation, the misalignment vanished because the accountability was finally visible. So I want to close this by saying that strategic intent gets a partnership started, but governance keeps it alive. Real alignment is not just agreeing on the what, it is codifying the how for when things go wrong.
Wow, that was such a refreshingly real breakdown of how partnerships actually work behind the scenes. And I've noticed that, quite often that everything boils down to governance. Having a strong governance structure really helps. And I also love how you captured the friction between speed and structure, and the honesty about those early stumbles makes the journey so feel so relatable. And as you said, this comes from experience rather than observation. I myself have certain experience in BFSI and ITS services, so I can actually, recall some of my experience as well, while talking to you. So this really makes it so relatable. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jain, let's switch gears here and have some fun with a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you a series of quick questions, and I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready?
Yep, I'm good.
All
Yeah.
right. Here we go. The first one. What's the first thing you do when you start your workday?
I pause. Those quite few minutes are the most important part of my day.
Wow, that's a good thing. I mean, good advice. All right. Next one. What book has led the most influence on how you think about leadership?
I would say The Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. It shaped how I build team today.
Wow, that's nice. I will probably look it up. Okay, next one. One habit you've developed that has quietly improved your professional life.
I would advise documenting decisions every day. It would hardly take 5 minutes, but it prevent weeks of ambiguity for you.
Wow, that's a good one. Next one. If you had to completely disconnect for a week, where would you go?
Mountains, anytime.
Mountains. Okay, I'm more of a beach person, so. All right, next one. What's your go-to music for recharging after a busy day?
I would say instrumental tracks or maybe some soft music by Arijit Singh. It helps me slowing down and clearing the mental noise inside.
Yes. All right, next one is what's one food you can never say no to?
Undoubtedly, peas and Spanish. That's a soul food for me.
Wow, nice. Okay, next one and the last one for today is a small daily ritual that keeps you grounded.
Uh, I would say talking to my best friend. It's a short evening reset for me before I close my day.
Oh, that is so nice. All right, that's the end to our round, and thank you for being so honest and candid with us. This round specifically gives the audience a chance to see the person behind the professional. So I really enjoy doing this one. Thank you so much for being honest with us once again. Mr. Jain, with your extensive experience in scaling partnerships and leading high impact initiatives, we know that strategic leadership requires managing complexity, driving growth, and ensuring sustainability. In your experience, how can boards and senior leaders manage the operational complexity of scaling partnerships while also balancing cost efficiency and mitigating risks, particularly with growing focus on cybersecurity threats?
So, Charu, I think this is a great question, and you have hit on a very vital point for modern governance. In highly regulated sectors like BFSI, we have reached a stage where partnership alignment is no longer an elective. It is the foundational requirement for operational resilience.
Mhm.
When operating at scale, we must recognize that alliances or partnerships are no longer just deals. They are extension of your operational risk profile,
Right.
where misalignment can have systemic consequences for the organization and enterprises.
Mhm.
To scale partnership responsibly, boards must govern ecosystems, not vendors. Cost efficiency must be risk adjusted. Cybersecurity must be a shared accountability, and visibility across interdependencies must be non-negotiable.
Wow.
Boards must shift the vision from managing vendors to governing the entire value delivery ecosystems.
Right.
So scaling partnership introduces, a lot of multi-dimensional risk factor, such as operational complexities, cost pressure, regulatory exposure, and cybersecurity risk all at once. The challenge is to maintain operational tempo while ensuring absolute structural oversight, balancing speed with control.
Right.
So, in my experience, boards and senior leaders can manage the complexities of scaling partnership by treating partnerships as part of enterprise operating model, not as external add-ons. Uh, so, to navigate this complexity, I prioritize certain foundational pillars for the strategic partnership framework. Uh, First one is moving from contract oversight to ecosystem governance.
Mhm.
So this is especially critical when cloud and AI vendors and IT services partners are interconnected, basically.
Right. Right.
Next one is you should embed cybersecurity as a shared accountability model because cyber risk is an ecosystem risk. It's not an internal IT risk.
Mhm.
I would say align cost efficiency with risk intelligence because the goal is not lowest cost. It is risk adjusted cost efficiency. You should also pay attention to in creating layered governance structure because
Mhm.
this prevents fragmented oversight across procurement, IT, risk and compliance.
Right.
Last but not the least, I would say invest in data visibility, particularly in BFSI. Regulatory expectations are increasingly stringent
Right.
around third party resilience.
Mhm.
So I would like to close this with the ultimate leadership challenge is not the trade-off between speed and control. It is systemic distillation of complexities into operational clarity.
Wow. I really love how you brought both the complexity and the vulnerability in, in that scenario. And that is a balance that is so rare in leadership conversation, especially the way you connected cybersecurity with partnership scale. And I feel that that's a wake-up call for a lot of industries. So thank you for sharing your views on this with us. Mr. Jain, you've had the opportunity to engage with a broad network of leaders through your involvement with Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. How has being part of this prestigious community shaped your approach to leadership and governance?
So, Charu, being part of Directors Institute, World Council of Directors, have been a deeply enriching experience for me, both professionally and personally. Engaging with such a diverse and accomplished network of board members slash CXOs slash policymakers and governance professionals
Mhm.
has fundamentally refined my approach to leadership in various ways. To mention, I have started thinking, to see governance or a leadership from authority to accountability,
Wow.
you know, and strategic thinking with global perspective, expand the horizon, and continuous learning mindset and growth mindset, strengthening your ethical courage, your ethical infrastructure, competencies. So in essence, Director Institute community has helped me, transition from being execution focus to becoming impact focus from the governance perspective. It has shaped my leadership philosophy around integrity, work ethics, foresight, and responsible stewardship. I truly appreciate this opportunity. It will strengthen my, professional growth and has allowed me to renew my connection with my, learning journey.
Wow, that was such a wonderful feedback. Thank you so much for that. And I really appreciated how you highlighted the humility in governance. That's a side most people don't talk about. And what's inspiring to me is that after having an extensive career of more than 2 decades, you're still looking forward to learning a new skill or enhancing your knowledge. So that is really inspiring. And I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you, Charu. I truly appreciate this opportunity.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Mr. Jain. It has been an absolute privilege having you here on FaceTime with Leaders today. On behalf of Directors Institute World Council of Directors and everyone watching and listening, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude for sharing your valuable insights, experiences, and leadership perspective. Your journey, especially your expertise in building strategic partnerships, navigating complex business landscapes, and driving innovation, has truly inspired us all. Your thoughtful reflections on leadership, governance, and the power of collaboration provide a fresh and invaluable perspective on what it means to lead in today's dynamic world. We also look forward to seeing how you continue to shape the future of business leadership, especially in the areas of strategic growth and long-term partnership development. One,
Thank you.
Mr. Jain, thank you for joining us on FaceTime with Leaders. It has been an honor to have you with us today.